To WNBA Game Time, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods.
Why do WNBA players continue to bite the hand that feeds them? Is there an agenda here that I don't know about?
Is there an agenda here that we don't know about?
The bad officiating in the WNBA has led to most of this minutia. Yeah, most of this controversy. All of these controversies. Be better, officials.
Linda Cohn leaves ESPN and sets fire to the WNBA. From the players, to the officials, to the league, to the narratives, to everybody playing a victim in the league.
The WNBA is in absolute meltdown mode right now, completely consumed by an unprecedented level of toxic jealousy that is actively threatening to destroy the biggest financial boom women's basketball has ever seen. Just when you thought the absolute disrespect, the bitter resentment, and the literal on-court targeting of generational superstar Caitlin Clark couldn't possibly get any worse, a literal bomb has just exploded over the entire sports landscape. This time, the devastation didn't come from the usual internet critics or outside skeptics. No, this comes straight from the absolute top of the sports media food chain, ESPN legend Linda Cohn, a pioneer who has spent decades at the pinnacle of sports broadcasting, has finally stepped off the corporate media plantation, dropped a match, and lit the entire WNBA on absolute fire. Welcome back to the channel, where we pull back the glossy curtain of mainstream narratives to expose the raw truth, deep agendas, and unfiltered reality driving modern sports culture.
Pick up the tech tonight, fifth of the season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I got a technical for clapping. So, if we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I asked Gerda. Gerda said that I got a technical for clapping. So, if any technical should be taken away, it should be that one. If it's truly for clapping, that's what they said they gave it to me was for clapping. So it's just ridiculous. I don't understand it at all.
For years, mainstream sports media has functioned as nothing more than a corporate echo chamber of forced narratives and state-sanctioned gaslighting, where talking heads spend hours making excuses for the brutal, borderline criminal behavior we are seeing on the court nightly against a rookie phenom. But the moment Linda Cohn stepped away from that suffocating ecosystem and claimed her absolute freedom, she wasted zero time exposing the ugly truth about the deep, dark agenda currently running the league. Cohn pointed out a profound psychological contrast that the mainstream media desperately refuses to acknowledge, exposing a dynamic that is shaking the very foundations of the sport. Have you ever noticed that whenever Caitlin Clark is the actual, literal victim of violent fouls, she never once plays the role of the victim? She takes the high road every single time. She did it with Angel Reese, and she is doing it now, quietly absorbing the punishment while the rest of the league descends into chaos. But while Clark chooses to stay quiet and let her game do the talking, her own peers are operating with a level of short-sighted bitterness that defies logic, proving that hatred often trumps economic self-interest. Why do WNBA players continue to bite the hand that feeds them? Look no further than the utter embarrassment of the WNBA All-Star voting process to see this pathology on full display. The fans showed out by the millions, recognizing history and voting Caitlin Clark as a clear starter with the second most fan votes in the entire league. The media, setting aside their biases for a brief moment, gave her the third most votes. But what did her fellow WNBA players do when it was their turn to cast a ballot? What did these bitter, resentful guards do? They ranked Caitlin Clark 11th, the 11th best guard in the league. It is an absolute joke, a statistical impossibility, and pure, unadulterated stupidity driven by sheer hatred. Caitlin Clark entered this league putting up over 21 points and over 8 assists a game, effortlessly ranking in the top 5 of the most elite offensive production and playmaking categories in basketball history. Yet, her own peers actively tried to sabotage her name because they simply cannot handle her reality. Linda Cohn called a spade, and this explosive commentary exposes a dark, historical pattern within the WNBA, a terrifying track record of targeting, alienating, and running out generational talents who refuse to conform to a miserable, insular culture. They did it to Candace Wiggins. They did it to Elena Del Don. They even did it to Maya Moore, who conquered the league and then completely dipped out of what many have called an absolute nightmare of an abomination because the entire experience was so incredibly draining. But the toxicity goes infinitely deeper than mere player jealousy, pointing directly toward a systemic failure at the absolute highest levels of governance. Cohn explicitly pointed the finger at the atrocious, blatantly one-sided officiating that has allowed Caitlin Clark to be legally mauled, shoved, and assaulted on live television every single night. Let's be entirely real here. This abysmal officiating isn't an accident, nor is it incompetent human error. Independent analysts are now pointing out that this is happening at the absolute behest of the league office, where referees are being told exactly how to call these games, who to referee strictly, and who to let completely off the hook. There is a blatant, undeniable agenda to suppress Clark's historic rise, to let opposing veterans physically assault her to prove an arbitrary point, all while protecting the league's preferred class of established players.
ESPN legend Linda Cohen. She made some comments about Caitlin Clark and about Alyssa Thomas. She talks about the fact that Caitlin Clark took the high road, but Caitlin Clark really and truly squashed the officiating in this league.
When Caitlin Clark is the victim, she never plays the role of the victim. She spoke up publicly for the first time since Alyssa Thomas came out publicly and said she's been getting death threats to her and her family, and there has been racial slurs thrown at her. What I want to know, Alyssa Thomas, have you reported this to the police? Have you reported this to the FBI? Because they'll get on it and they'll find who's responsible. But back to Caitlin Clark. She always takes the high road in these situations. She did it back in the day with Angel Reese. All these controversies. I love what Caitlin Clark said. I do love that she took the high road here, saying this cannot happen to any player in the league, no matter what the situation is, players, coaches, whatever. But she also took the time, which I loved, to basically told the league to be better communicating. She also mentioned the officiating. Very subtly, I'm going to say it with an exclamation point. The bad officiating in the WNBA has led to most of this minutia. Yeah, most of this controversy. All of these controversies. Be better, officials. Is there an agenda here that I don't know about? Speaking of agendas, congratulations for Caitlin Clark. 3 straight years named and voted an All-Star Game starter. That's the great news. 2nd most votes by the fans for Caitlin Clark. The media, 3rd most votes for Caitlin Clark by members of the media. What about other players in the WNBA? How do they feel about Caitlin Clark and how she is as a guard? Well, they ranked her 11th best among guards. Her numbers and all the other votes got her in as a starter despite that stupidity by many WNBA players who had a vote. Unbelievable. Use your brains. Caitlin is putting up over 21 points a game so far this year. Over 8 assists a game. Not many players rank in the top 5 with those kind of numbers. Offensive production and playmaking ability. That's what Caitlin Clark is. Why do WNBA players continue to bite the hand that feeds them?
Caitlin Clark, get out of here. Get out of America. Go to Europe. They're going to love, appreciate, and keep you safe. Do you know how bad a league has to treat a player for their entire fan base to look at this player and say, listen, we love you. We would love nothing more than to be able to cheer you on, go to your games, support you. You have transformed sports for women. But you need to go somewhere else because you have been treated so terrible here in America by the WNBA. This entire fan base of millions of people are saying to her, as much as we love you, man, we wish you could be ours. We wish you were here and we could support you. We could go to the games and watch them. We all have to say, for her own well-being, for her own safety, please go. That's messed up. That is so messed up. Tell me you failed an entire country. You have failed an entire sport. Tell me that without telling me. I watch it. I watch the videos, and fans all over the place are telling Caitlin Clark, please go. You've been done so dirty. These people that are running the WNBA, it's not just who runs it. It's the players. You've got 12 teams, and all 12 of these teams, all the players on these teams, your behavior overall has been so foul. Just foul. Yeah, Caitlin Clark, go. Go to Europe. What the WNBA would have to do at this point to redeem themselves, I don't think it's possible. I don't think they could redeem themselves at this point. I think the line has been crossed.